Maybe.
I love it.
No, but it's so true though. I think in life, I think when the fear, I think once you hit rock bottom and you've experienced that, right? Even my personal experience, I think once you've hit rock bottom and you've experienced that, and then you come back up, right, after failing, it truly changes your perspective. Because even myself, I have failing business that was, super successful in another city, and I hit rock bottom. I was one of those guys that, I was a young entrepreneur, started early, had my success, did really well and opened multiple businesses, lost everything, right? Right before I hit 30, I had this grand concept idea how, hey, I'm going to build all these different, businesses, prior to I hit 40, and right around 28, I ended up losing everything due to uncontrollable circumstances, father having cancer, failing in that, the downturn of the economy and everything. And I felt like I failed, right? So I was your typical athlete growing up, high achiever, goal oriented. I want to destroy you if I'm competing with you. And when that happened, I still remember that day, right? At the time I had a restaurant bar, and the night before I, decided to step away, I was in the kitchen. I felt like my life was just gone, right? My dad was about to pass away. He was like my best friend. The economy wasn't good. I wasn't happy. I had a lot of friends, but I would say a lot of friends that just liked me for my success versus, 28-year-old life of the party, had everything, right? And it really allowed my mind to start really thinking. And I still remember clearly that day, the turning point in my life. Understanding what are the things that really matter. And it was that day I knew that, hey, not everyone's your friends. And it's okay if people don't accept you. Why does all that stuff matter? And when I was able to block that out, it was a struggle for me. I was in a smaller town. And with my type of business I was in, it was very highly publicated. People knew who I was. And it was embarrassing, and you go from being on a cover of a magazine in a small town, and small towns in America, everyone knows who you are. I grew up in that town. And being, hey, you might be, I was supposed to be like the 10-year high school reunion, the guy that was probably the most successful. And right before that, everything went to craps, right?
Yeah.
And from an entrepreneur, I went to work for people. I started over, and it wasn't a glamorous job. I went to work for my uncle's restaurant, and I told a story before where I just fried chicken, and I'm a college. I have a degree in software engineering. Going back in the kitchen, working, owning a restaurant, and then working in one is two different things.
Right.
And so. Right. It was embarrassing, and my uncle had a restaurant that was inside the campus I graduated from. So it makes it even more embarrassing. Right. Now you got your deans and your professor. What are you doing here, Kevin? So it wasn't like something you're like, it really, through that experience, I say it really put a damper, and it really affected me. I was like, man, this is super embarrassing. It was really hard. But then I learned to push all the naysayers away, and it really doesn't matter what other people think. Because at the end of the day is taking care of number one. which is me. And when I changed that perspective, that's when I met my wife. That's when I started striving to get back into my professional jobs. You know, and one opportunity led to another. And then I was back in the driver's seat, you know, when I started J29, you know, but it took, you know, 10 plus years of rebuilding and changing my mindset. I was depressed for a whole year. You know, I went through bankruptcy, hid myself at home, you know, didn't want to go out, and it was crazy, you know. And I was one of those guys, I would never think I would struggle with my mindset because I was always a very positive, very competitive person. And when that happened, it changed everything. But now I'm that more competitive because I really don't care what people think.
Right.